And so, as I was saying, 2020, is that when your second batch?
Yes.
You got into TinySeed?
Yeah.
And do I remember you were at were you at 1,000 MRR?
Something like that.
2,000, somewhere in
Yes.
there? And the last public, correct me if I'm wrong on any of these, I believe I believe Pierre, your co-founder, tweeted the last public ARR number, and my memory is it was 5 million ARR.
Yes,
and
that's
that
correct.
was 6 or 8 months before you sold.
Exactly, yeah.
Really impressive, and they have been public 8-figure cash exit. So, what did you buy? What did you buy with the money? I asked Pierre this as well, but I haven't heard from you.
A bigger house.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
And you live in France?
Yes.
Okay. So what is that kind of money buy in France? Do you have like a mansion that I need to come check out?
Well,
a spare bedroom? Is there the Rob bedroom?
It depends where in France.
All right. So you got a house. And I wanna ask one question about the sale, kind of roll back, tell the story, and then we can get more into it. I think the biggest thing for me is there's got to be some people in the audience here, and Sherry and I have thought a lot about this in writing exit strategy, right, and talking to founders. And the question is, when is the right time to sell? There's never, you don't know when the right time, but I'm curious how you and Pierre figured that out.
Okay, so I think maybe you'll have a different answer if you ask Pierre. For me, I would say that the right time to sell, especially for first-time founders, because I think it really depends on the stage you are in life and stuff, but it's when your stake in the company is worth more than your, I would say, magic number, meaning the number where you never have to work again, your freedom number, you can call it however you want, but I think that's a good starting point.
Got it. I think that makes sense. That was definitely a factor in my exit too. I've heard, some founders will sell for less than that, and then they have to do it again. You have to, and that's not the end of the world, but it is kind of nice if you can get to that point of, and living in France, I think the cost of living is quite a bit lower than where I live, so I bet our numbers are probably different. Now, let's run back earlier in the story. So you, and we've told the ScrapingBee story on the podcast, and I don't want to retell that. You can go Google ScrapingBee, or go to startupsarestfest.com, ScrapingBee, if you want to hear kind of the early days and how they came up with the idea. And there's a MicroConf talk that Pierre did, I believe. So you can hear that. I want to dig into some other things around the more recent events. I think something we haven't talked about before is you guys ran it really lean. And if I recall, it was just the two of you, no employees, and you were approaching 2 million ARR.
Yes, correct.
Which is that's a really interesting lifestyle business. And then you guys started talking about exiting, and Einar and I are like, this is a really hard business to sell because everything relies on you, right?
Yeah.
And it goes against maybe the advice I would give you at 2 million ARR is pay someone to do your support, or pay someone to do customer success. Yeah. So talk me through your thought process there. And in retrospect, was it the right choice for you, or would you have done it differently?
I would have done it completely differently. I would listen to Rob and Einar. I'm sorry, Rob. I'm sorry, Einar. I don't know where you're at. That was a huge mistake from our end. For many reasons. I think, so we started ScrapingBee at the age of 26, 27. So I think there was some lack of maturity. And basically, I didn't want to manage people. I was kind of scared of delegating what I was working on because the quality wouldn't be the same. I had many limiting thoughts about myself, about hiring, about how to run the company, and that's what. So, many times when we say that we managed to get to 2 million or AR with only 2 or even 5 million AR, we were 5 people. So many people are congratulating us, but there's nothing to brag about. It was really a really bad idea to do it, and I think that I mean, maybe we were, it made us more tired. Maybe also it limited the growth of the business. So yeah, lots of drawbacks.
That wasn't the answer I expected, actually, but got it. So the reasons it made you tired because you just had to keep doing a bunch of stuff you didn't want to,
Yeah.
and you do think it may have had an impact on the growth.
Yeah, I think so.
Speaking of growth, was there, answer this the way you will, the question I have in mind is like, was there one thing that you did right that allowed you to have this incredible growth trajectory, or was it more than one thing, or was there?
So I think basically it comes down to two things. First, it's the product. Like we had great product and product market fit. Like people wanted to buy our product. And then second thing was SEO. Definitely, we had really great SEO. And when you combine the two, well, that's where the magic happens.
Do you, having done SEO again for the past 6-7 years and been really good at it, do you have a take on how it's changing now with AI?
I mean, what I'm observing from our end is that impressions are down, clicks are down, but like we're seeing same or more new signups and users than before. So we're getting a lot of visitors from all the LLMs. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really change anything, at least for us. And from the conversation I have with many other founders, it seems that some companies are in this case, and others are seeing the impression and clicks down, but no traffic from LLM. So I guess it depends.
That's right. And just so folks know, you and Pierre still work.
Yes.
You're still working on ScrapingBee,
Yeah.
so you're gonna, you do still see inside it. Did it close in January or February of this year?
February. Yes.
Okay. What are we in? September? 7 months ago?
Yeah.
Talk to me about, aside from, I want to learn about a mistake or a misstep that you made. Aside from the staying 2 people to 2 million, was there anything else you felt like was a big fumble or a point in time where you thought, I really wished we'd have done that differently?
There was some, so definitely hiring, and then the way we structured the company and the processes, which means there were no processes, and no OKR, no KPIs, no meetings at all, like kind of a chaos up until the end. So I think that was bad because I mean, at the end of this, like even if we were only 5 or 6 person, sometimes we weren't communicating enough between us, and that's a big learning from the company that acquired us. We were learning a ton in this area.
That's a question I have actually that's not on my sheet here, is that after we sold Drip, I went to work for Lead Pages I wound up being there about 22 months. I didn't have to be there that long, but I was dreading it because I hadn't had a job in a long time. And a good friend of mine, Ruben, founder of Signwell, said, what are you going to learn? What are you going to learn in this new thing? And I learned a ton. I went from being a 10-person company to a 180-person company. And a lot of what I now teach TinySeed companies and put in the SaaS playbook, a bunch of the stuff about team structure and hiring and titles and like all that stuff really came from that time at Lead Pages. I'm curious, in the past 7 months, what's a couple things that you've learned from a bigger company? Because, I mean, in this room, I think we all believe smaller is better, 2-person teams, hand clap at 2 million. Yeah. But there are well-run companies, or there are at least well-run departments, and there are structures that I would tend to, I don't love process, but sometimes it's really good, And so what are a couple things maybe you've taken away from the past 7 months in terms of learnings?
So there are a lot. So basically the company that acquired us is part of a larger group, which is called Tesonet in Lithuania. It's a big tech company in Lithuania. They own NordVPN, their own hostinger and a bunch of other stuff. And we feel like we're a bit, it's like we are at a SaaS university because there are lots of great product leaders, great marketing leaders, really well-engineered organizations. And we're learning a ton. So, for example, we've implemented a weekly KPI meeting that is really short. Like, it's not if you had told me a year or 2 years ago, okay, you're going to have a weekly KPI meeting, I would have said, oh no, please. But in fact, like in 20 minutes, we get all the metrics from all the departments, and people are just explaining, okay, this is what I worked on last week, this is what I'm working next week, this is what's blocking me, things like that. And it's just simple as that. And it made the communication flow really nice and easy to all the company. And everybody knows what everyone is working on, and it's just great, and we should have implemented this years ago. And there are many, many other small things like that. The way the information is shared among the company, the tools and stuff. So it's really like we're learning a ton. And yeah.
I'll ask you in a minute about future plans, but I'm curious if you could talk a little bit about the acquisition process. You'll hear founders who go through it say it's very stressful. You'll hear me say it's very stressful. You see every other line of the exit strategy says it's going to be pretty stressful. And people will often tell me, I don't think it's going to be that stressful. And then they do it, and usually it is. There's been a couple exceptions, but was it stressful? And what was it like for you? How long did it take? And just talk us through it a little bit.
Yeah. It's funny because we talked about this a lot with Pierre. So we've read your book before the...
It was before it was published, and I had a PDF copy of it, unedited, and then I gave it to them because we were at a TinySeed gathering. It was in December, maybe, of last year, and so you had just gotten an offer. I don't even remember the specifics, but yeah, you read it. Pierre gave me a bunch of feedback, so yeah.
And so in your book, you really emphasize on the fact that it's really stressful. So maybe we were over-prepared for the stress. I don't know. It's
good.
But I would say that
job here is done.
If I had to rate the stress level, I would say 7 or 8 out of 10.
Okay.
So very stressful, but not like end of the world stressful. So the thing that made us less stressed is that we tried to sell the business the year prior, and it didn't work out for some reason, like we could talk about it. But we were prepared for the worst scenario, which was like no deal, and we were fine with it. So we had like a growing company that is profitable. So even if we didn't sell it, like life was fine. So maybe it depends on the situation. If you have a company where, I don't know, you're break even, you really have to sell it, or else you're in a bad situation, it increased the stress level. For us, that was not the case. And also, thanks to your book, we were very prepared.
Yeah, that's cool. What was I going to ask? Oh, is there a moment that you can remember, like the worst part of it, or like the most stressful thing? Yeah,
it was definitely the due diligence process. So everything before the LOI is pretty chill. Like you are talking to different acquirers. Conversations are nice. And then once you start the LOI, I wouldn't say that when you sign the LOI, I wouldn't say the conversation is not nice, but you're entering the due diligence phase, and it's another world. Like you're talking to auditors, to accountants, to external people at the acquirer side, and that can lead to stressful conversations, and they ask you about things that you may not have anticipated. All the contracts that you've ever signed with your business, all the nitty-gritty details about everything, and that can be stressful.
Yeah, I remember feeling accused all the time, and they weren't meaning. It was just a lawyer or a CP, an accountant, And I just felt like, well, no, I don't have that. Should I have that? And they're like, well, we need it for the thing. And I would just get I was so defensive about everything, you know? And actually, we had our IP agreements signed with everybody, with every employee and every contractor with Drip, except for one. And somehow I had missed, he was an employee, but he was a contractor for like 2 months, and then an employee, and I never got it as a contractor. And so I went back to him. I'm curious if this happened to you at all, but I went back to him and I was like, hey man, can I buy you a bottle of wine? Can I take you out to dinner? And we went out and I talked about it, and he was like, no problem. Like, he signed it. You know, we still live in the same town. Did you have anything like that where you were like, oh no, we really messed up, and you had to kind of go back?
Yeah, a couple exactly the same situation, but we didn't have any problem to make them sign. So
yeah, I have heard of some founders go to sell, and like a contractor will kind of hold them hostage, so to speak, and be like, pay me 10 grand or 15 grand. And it's like, fuck. And this is usually before you have the money. So you kind of got to either come out with it out of pocket, or you got to, you know, whatever, deal with the negotiation. We're going to take questions in just a second. I think I wanted to ask you one more question before we go to the audience. And it's, you know, you're working for the acquirer now. You're learning a lot. Let's flash forward, and you're still a young dude. Are you 30?
33.
33, yeah. So you have a life and a career ahead of you. If we fast forward 2, 3, 5 years, do you feel like you've done the SaaS game, you've learned a lot about it? Do you feel like you want to take another at bat, or where do you go? You know?
Yeah. So I think I've like, if you had asked me this exact same question 5 years ago, I would have probably answered that no, I want to retire early or whatever. But now I came to realize that I just love the game. I love working on technology and SaaS and growing a business. And I have lots of ideas for the next adventure. Pierre also have a lot of ideas. We were considering a lot of different things, starting from scratch or acquiring an existing SaaS. So if anyone wants to sell his business,
have cash, close,
you can come and see me. So that's we have different options on the table, and of course, before that, I will take a few months off with my family.
Please do. Yeah. Very cool. All right. Do we have questions for Kevin? Throw your hands in the air and we'll get the catch boxes. All right. Let's do the yellow catch box first over here. It's good. We're cool.
You want me to go here?
Yep.
Okay.
Yellow.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So I'm just curious, if you had your magic financial number and you worked regular business hours or regular hours, would you have ever sold or not?
So if I had already my magic number,
yes.
Okay, and your question is,
would you have sold, or would you have continued to run the business?
Okay.
And you worked regular hours, not crazy hours.
Yeah.
Do you mean if he already had that much in the bank?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Good
That's
question.
a really good question.
Yeah, it is.
The honest answer is I don't know, because there is more to this exit than money. There is also the fact that Pierre and I, we've been working in the web scraping industry for the past 10 years, and so we also wanted to do something else. So maybe I would have given more thoughts about stepping down as CEO, hiring a CEO to replace me. That maybe would have been the other road.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Thank you.
What do we have? The blue catch box. Michelle.
You mentioned that working for the acquirer has been like going to SaaS university. And being at university often involves reading. So are there any books that you have read in the past year since the acquisition that you would recommend?
Yes. So the first book that comes to my mind is the SaaS Playbook, of course. It's a really good one.
Didn't pay him to say that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He didn't pay me to say this. No, I really think it's a good one. Another one that I read that I really liked is called, I think, The Great CEO Within from Matt Mocari, I think. It's a really, really great book. And I think so there are many, I've had many books recommendation over the years, and I think that it really depends on the stage you're in. I think The Great CEO Within is great once you passed 2 million AR, because it's about hiring processes and stuff, and you probably don't really need that before this stage. So yeah.
Over here. You said you had, hello? Yeah. You said you had weekly KPI meetings. How is your KPI structure set up? Is it like per team member, departmental, like how?
Yeah, so basically there is an owner for each KPI. So for example, we have marketing. Within marketing, we have organic, paid ads. Then we have product, engineering, and each category has an owner that is both reporting the actual metrics, but also explaining what's behind the metrics.
Yeah.
So specifically, like to due diligence process, have there been any like issues that could have been like a showstopper for the whole deal that you wish you were better prepared for?
Yeah, so due diligence is issues 24/7 basically for 4 weeks.
He's not lying.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
So what were like the most serious ones?
issues about. It's really a complex topic, but like revenue recognition policies. I don't know if you've heard of this. As Rob said, IP transfer things, contracts. For example, in most tech due diligence, they will ask you to scan all your code base and look for all the open source licenses that you're using, and make basically a sheet with everything. And I hope for you that you're not using GPL. There are hundreds of details like this, and everything can be a problem.
Sales tax, if you're in the US, it's like, where do you have Nexus? That comes up. Your books, like our books were, it was Stripe into Xero, I believe. And it was mostly automated because like I was kind of the bookkeeper, and then they come in and actually audit it and try to do gap financials, and I'm like, I've heard of that phrase before. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just stuff like that. It's just like one thing after the next. It depends on the size of the deal too, right? If you sell for $1 million or $2 million, it's different than if you sell for 20 or 30. Like it's like a proctology exam, the bigger it gets. So we do talk more about that in exit strategy. You should have a copy here. And honestly, what's the other book? It's John Warlow's third book, Art of Selling Your Business. He goes into it in a really, really cool way. But I love the way you put it, because Iran Galperin of Gymdesk, who exited to Growth Equity, sold a majority stake to Growth Equity, and the top line number for his majority stake was like 32.5 million, so also a TinySeed company. Sold for a lot of money. He said the same thing. Because he's in Japan, he was dealing with folks in the US time zone, and he said, I just felt like I was up 18, 20 hours a day constantly, and it was like every day it was something new, and everything felt like it could end the deal. That's the shitty part. Even in retrospect, I'm like, I remember freaking out about my IP thing I just talked about with that contractor, being like, the deal's done and we're not going to sell the company. And in retrospect, I'm like, it wasn't that big of a deal, but everything feels like that when it comes across from the lawyers, because the lawyers are not particularly set up to have good bedside manner. They're set up to kind of just say it and make you feel bad about it, or at least I always felt bad about it.
And so I have one anecdote to give you a more precise view of the situation. So we sold the 7th of February of this year. And so at the same moment, so I was at the maternity hospital for the birth of my first child. And so like 20 minutes before going to the maternity hospital, I had a call from the acquirer CFO telling me, Kevin, we have to talk. And I was like, oh no. And so I jumped on the call and I answered the question. We solved the problem. It was an accounting stuff. And yeah, it was done. But I mean, to the very end, there were problems to solve.
Yeah, and the later you get, the more problems seem to crop up. It kind of sucks. We have a question up here. Yeah.
Over here.
Hello.
Yes. We have a question up here.
Hello. Yeah. Congratulations on the exit. I also exited my first company. It was a much smaller exit. I definitely have to work again. And I'm curious, since you said you want to build again, and that's also what I figure for myself, but I find it kind of hard. It's a privilege, definitely, but I find it hard also to find out what to build next. And I'm curious, do you have any thoughts, or yeah, how do you approach that? Are you open in industry and vertical, or yeah, how do you approach that next thing that you want to build?
So I think I have, let's say I'm more lean towards spaces like data, dev tools, APIs. That's what I know and like. I like to market to developers. It's a very specific market to address. So I think about ideas in this space, but I'm not putting too much pressure on myself regarding the ideas. I mean, I think you have the best ideas when you just walk into the nature without thinking about it. So that's just what I do. I walk a lot and hope for the best.
We do one more question? No more questions. That's it. All right. Kevin? All right. They're telling me no more. I'm going to say one more. Someone has the thing over here? No, no more. All right. Kevin, are you going to be around tonight at the reception?
I will.
Okay. If you have a question for Kevin, come up to him and ask him. He's happy to talk about it. Don't ask him how much he sold for. Don't ask him if he has my Maserati parked next to his Ferrari in his garage, because I think it's there. But let's give a big round of applause for Kevin.